you're trying to be good in both worlds as best you can.
Yeah, I think, you know, early on when we were kind of just circling, you know, figuring out how to do it and kind of talking about whether it would be like played as two completely different characters, or what do we do? And it eventually figured out it was important to Dan and Ben and me that it feel like the same guy, but just like different parts of the same, different halves almost. Like one of them has like 40 odd years of life experience and like sorrow and joy and all this stuff that goes into that. And then the other one's like 2.5 years old. So just, you know, it became sort of a math problem of addition and subtraction, like of life experience, kind of going back and forth between the two. Because we shot the whole show pretty much at once, jumping around episode to episode. So we needed to kind of figure out how to, you know, what you would do to go back and forth pretty quickly and drop in at any point during the season.
Yeah, I mean, we see the most of your both worlds. We see the most of Ritz realizing this is not a world she wants to be in. And then we have Deacon. Your performance is, you're such a cipher, and it's not, everyone knows the twist at the end, right? I don't want to spoil anything, but you realize what you lost, and you're sitting on a lot of emotion and tragedy, but we don't see that till the very last minute. So did you know what the arc of your character would be, like where it would end up before you started?
Yeah, no, I did, but all of that was, you know, a lot of fine-tuning with Ben, because it was a delicate line, you know, not to give anything away. It was really actually quite challenging. Ben, do you want to talk about?
No, I mean, I think all the actors, especially Deacon and Patricia Arquette, who's not here, who's so amazing in the show. There was so much experimentation going on because we really were trying to figure out the tone of the show. We had a sense of what it was, but for Ms. Casey to really understand her humanity and knowing where it goes in the show and what the reveal is and how much of her actual personality, her gem of personality would come through if, you know, these little bits and pieces. It took so much, it was just experimenting. The actors were really, I feel, so willing to take chances and go one way or the other and try things. And we just said, like, let's just try things and let's see what it feels like, and really we'll look at it and kind of find it in the editing. And it felt right sometimes, but then other times it would be like, okay, let's try something else. And that was sort of the process of making the show. That went on for the course of the shoot, and then it sort of started to take shape as we were editing it together.
Now, Jen, you have a really interesting, because you are the outside world and all of its messiness, and you can almost see that you are a person that can actually, as frustrated as you get, you can deal with the messiness, whereas these people probably experienced that same messiness and turned away from it and wanted to be. So did you know, I mean, you read all the scripts, you knew all the craziness that was going on inside Lumon, or were you just more, I'm going to embrace the outside world and all its life and messiness?
Yeah, I think I knew, you know, Michael Chernus, who plays Rickon so beautifully, my husband. We talked we talked a lot on the front end about, well, Ben's talking about tone. And we were like, you know, if we represent this part of the world of Severance where people are allowed to be bombastic and sarcastic and funny, there's a bit more levity, or his levity in a different way, then like how does that manifest in us being real people? And, you know, he was like, it's all about Mark. It was all about, for Michael and I, how we related to Mark. And I think Devin's one of the only people who is carrying the emotional sobriety of having not been severed.
Yes.
And she's living in this terrifying reality that the person she arguably loves most in the world is not well. Right. And she can't figure out why, because half of him is completely off limits to her. So that was a really interesting challenge to play, and especially a treat to do with Adam, because I would get him coming off of days of being any Mark, and then we would get to have our stuff that was more fraternal and silly and light. So that was a real treat.
Yeah, it must have been weird, like, to play scenes against a character that willingly and aggressively turned away from a world that you're very comfortable in.
Yeah.
Which has got to feel kind of lonely.
Yeah, that's well put. And it was, which was helpful, I think. But I also thought a lot about the fact that Devin and Gemma were close. And so while Mark has chosen to sever to bifurcate his pain, Devin's still very much grieving her friend and sister-in-law. And so I think it ultimately became, for me, a storyline about a person who's carrying the weight of everyone around her and doesn't necessarily allow herself to carry her own.
Wow. Now, Trem. When I said to the scariest thing on Severance, there is something so unnerving about your character. He wants everyone to be their best, but he's so disappointed in everybody. He's the guy, and we've all worked in offices where you're the corporation's attack dog. You're the guy that comes in, keeps everyone. Whenever you walked in, how did you? Because you're also very friendly and upbeat, but you always feel like on a dime you can just drop and you can just cut people off. Have you ever worked in an environment like this? It felt very, very real, and it felt like you were exercising some demons.
Well, I wasn't acting at all, and that's who I am. No, I think it was helpful for me to draw on my experiences working in the myriad of different places that I have. You know, in New York, I'm a New York-based actor, and one of the things that we have to do is be able to carry on many different jobs to support the lifestyle of New York, especially. So with that, I had to be able to balance these different hats, be able to find the task at hand and be able to deliver, you know? And also understanding why this guy is who he is and why he does what he does.
Is he severed?
No.
He's not severed.
No, he's not.
But he's completely embraced the Lumon philosophy, and it's weird how the you're the one character we don't see anything of your outside life. We get glimpses or whole scenes. You're the one character that has remained a cipher.
Yes.
So, I don't want any spoilers, but are we going to see more of his life in season 2, or what is going on? Okay, we don't know.
Who's to say? Who's to say?
I was testing you, panel. Nicely done. Okay. You did a lot better than Tom Holland. That's all I'm going to say. Now, we have a little. Tom loves that. Okay. We have a special little video we're going to show you right now. The director on the screen. These are some bloopers.